Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be teaching you how to do traditional long division, just the good old-fashioned long division, but I have a couple of tricks that I like to use to help you remember how to do it and make it a little bit easier. So this particular lesson will be very thorough in how long division works, and then if you want to try some more problems that are a little bit larger, then you can go to the next video and I'll link those below. So we're going to start with just a 2-digit dividend and a 1-digit divisor, and I'm going to explain what that means here. So in long division, we first of all use this setup, and it doesn't actually have a formal name. So it kind of, it kind of looks like a parenthesis with a line across the top, and it does not have any official name. And so here's how I remember what the parts are. So the dividend, we're going to think of this like a house. I'm going to put a little roof on it first of all, and that roof won't be there in real long division. But if I were thinking, oh, I have a den, like a place where you do work in your house, then that would be where the dividend goes. 58 in this case. Dividend looks like this, and it has the word den in it. So we think of the den, like the den in a house. And then our divisor goes under the visor. So if we think of this little part of the roof as a visor, like a hat you wear, the 3 goes there. That's the divisor. And divisor has the word visor in it. Now up here at the top, this is like the attic. It's at the very top. It's important. And somebody who's at the very top would be the queen. And we remember this one because Q for queen matches with Q for quotient, which is the term for the answer to a division problem. And we haven't solved this one yet, so we don't know what it is yet. Okay, so that's how I remember the placement. Now, here's how I remember to do the steps. I always use this mnemonic device, which is, does McDonald's sell burgers with cheese? We don't have to put the W in there because, words like that don't actually have to go into acronyms and things of that nature. Now, of course, McDonald's sells burgers with cheese, but these letters are the important part of this question. Does McDonald's sell burgers with cheese? Because they all stand for a step in division. So the D stands for divide. I'll just represent that with the division symbol. McDonald's, the M stands for multiply. I'm going to represent that with the X for multiplication. The S stands for subtract. The B stands for bring down, and the C stands for check. Okay, so let's write those all out so that you remember. This stands for divide. McDonald's stands for multiply. The S stands for subtract. Burger stands for bring down. And the cheese stands for check. Now, when my students do a long division test or quiz, I see a lot of them write this at the top of their paper, and some of them will do the shorthand that we write in class, which is just, does McDonald's sell burgers with cheese? They'll say to themselves, and then they write the symbols to help them remember what they all mean. Okay, and so that's what they like to write at the side of their paper or on their test, and just keep that and remember that those are the steps so they don't forget something. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this longhand version so that we can just look at the shorthand version over there and help us solve the problem. So we're ready to take our symbol, and we're ready to put our dividend in the den, our divisor under the visor. Remember, you won't see the visor usually. And now we're ready to start the steps. So step number 1, divide. Okay, we always divide one number at a time. We're not going to look at all of 58 yet. We're going to just look at 5. It breaks it down into a much more manageable division problem. All we have to know is how many times will 3 go into 5? And if I were to look at a group of 5 objects, like I've drawn real tiny up here, I would see I have one group of 3. So 3 goes into 5 one time. Now, that 1 is part of the answer, the quotient. So it's going to go up on top. Put my 1 here. And then there's another step. So our next step is to multiply. Now, when we multiply the answer up here, whatever part of the answer we've just found, times the divisor. So in this case, it's 1 times 3. We do that because we want to know, okay, if 3 goes into 5 one time, then how many is in one group of 3? And 1 times 3 is 3. See how many we circled up here? So it's just 3. We're ready for our next step now, which is subtract. Now, we're going to subtract the 3 from the 5. So I'm just going to make the symbols I need here to make that look like a subtraction problem. And I'm going to do 5 minus 3 equals 2. If we look back up here at our drawing, you see there were 2 dots left over. Those were the ones that did not fit into 5, or they did not make another 3. They were just left over. We're ready now for the bring down step. We're going to bring down this 8. So I always have my students draw an arrow just to keep everything straight and lined up, and then rewrite. So now we have the number 28. We know that 3 won't go into 2, so we're now putting it with another, we're putting those two numbers together, and we're looking at how many times will 3 go into 28. And this is a time where if you know your multiplication facts, you're thinking, oh, I see now why I needed to learn my multiplication facts. And if you don't, you're going to want to learn them. But in the meantime, here's a trick that I use. So if you're not for sure, then skip count by that number. You can skip count in your head, but you can also skip count somewhere off to the side. Say over here, 3, and I'm going to skip count by 3s. 6, 9, 12, and so on, until we get as close as we can to the number we're looking for without going over it. I'm at 27, that's pretty close. If I add 3 more, it's going to be 30. Can't use that, that's too much. But 27 is as close as it's going to get without going over 28. So that's the one I'm looking for. Then I can go back and count. Well, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Well, that 9 times, that's part of my answer. So it goes up on top. I'm on that divide step again, by the way. Once we finish the steps, we go back up to the top. That seems to be the part I forget to say every time. So I've divided 28 by 3, and I said it goes in there 9 times. Now, this is where writing it out to the side, having that skip counting there is helpful, because if you're not real sure on those math facts, you can always refer back to what you've written down. And if I were to have a bigger number, I'm dividing by 3 every time. So counting to 3s, or counting by 3s and having that list to refer to is really helpful. Okay, so I said it went in there 9 times, but now when I go to the multiply step, I have to know, well, 9 times 3, what was that? And I can look over here where I've written this down. It's 27. If you know those multiplication facts, then this is probably not going to be necessary for you. But until you do, this is a really good way to get yourself there. So I'm now ready for this subtract step again. And I'm now doing 28, and I'm subtracting 27, and I just have 1 left. Okay, do I have anything else to bring down? I'm on the bring down step. I don't have anything else up here, so I'm done bringing things down. I'm now ready to check, and we're going to talk about what that means as soon as we get the answer sorted out here. So your answer here is on the top, but this number down here is important too because it's the leftover. It's the remainder. So whatever is left over is our remainder. So I could write this answer out as 19, that's my answer, remainder 1, that was what was left over. Or if you want to be fancy and you want to put it into fraction or mixed number form, you can do this. I have my answer at the top, and then I draw an arrow down here. That's my numerator for a fraction, and that's my denominator. So another way I could write this answer is 19 1/3. And your teachers somewhere down the line are going to want to see that you can do fractions. So that's a really easy tip when you're doing long division, to just remember you go clockwise. Answer, numerator, denominator. Okay? Now, we said the last step was C, check. And if you're wondering why it's kind of sitting apart from all the other steps, it's because we just do this step once. The steps up here we repeat over and over until we've gone through all the numbers in the dividend. But the check we only have to do one time. Now, to check a division problem, you do the opposite of division. You multiply. We have all the numbers that we need. We have our answer 19, and we have 3 and 58. So if I were to write this problem out as division, it might look like 58 divided by 3 equals 19 1/3, or 19 remainder 1. If I want to make it into multiplication, I just need to flip it around. 19 1/3 times 3 equals 58. Now, you may not want to multiply a fraction, and that's okay. We can take the fraction out and multiply 19 times 3 just to see if we get close to 58. So if I check this answer, I could say just 19 times 3. And if you haven't seen my multiplication videos, you can go check those out as well. 9 times 3 is 27. Again, we can use our skip counting off to the side here. 3 times 1 is 3, and I'm going to add 2, and I get 57. 57 is really close to 58, and if I have 1 left over, then yep, that works, because I'm 1 away from 58. So now I've checked my work, and I know that I'm right. Okay, that's long division in a nutshell, all the pieces that you need to know. Now, I'm going to link long division videos down below so that you can try a 3-digit and a 4-digit number and see how that goes for you as well. You'll just repeat the steps more often, and you can come back to this video for tips anytime that you need, if you need a refresher and if you need to remember how to do a step. Thanks for watching.